Good morning. Let's turn that down. Let's turn that way down. Good morning. How are you? I'm good, thank you. I'm going on an adventure today. Gonna go have coffee with a friend of mine. It's so rare that I go meet. Well, it's so rare that I actually have a friend, for one. But it's rare that I see them. So that'll be fun. I'm excited. I was thinking about advice. Like I give advice instinctually, and I give advice that doesn't relate to me in any way at all. I had a friend of mine, literally, he got angry actually. Like, I think I've told the story before, but I was in a 7-Eleven, or like a supermarket. We were out in the middle of nowhere. We were going hiking, and it was a truck stop, and there was a bunch of truckers standing together in a big circle, getting angry about shit. And as I walked by, I was hearing what they were talking about, and I stopped and I said, like, they were saying, like, they won't cut back on this, and they won't cut back on that, and they keep adding this and they keep adding that. And I said, I think the end game is actually not to improve your situation in any way. I think the end game is to make this job so unfillable that they're able to then get people to get green cards to come to the United States to specifically drive trucks. Like, if you get one of those work permit visas, that's the job you could do. Like, you can't come here on a work permit visa because you're an astrophysicist and then open up your own restaurant and become a chef. You can't. If you're not in the field that your work permit is covered by, you have to leave. So the idea being, like, they drive out people from the United States that have U.S. trucking jobs and fill them with people from all around the world. And at first, these people are like, "Who the fuck's this guy?" I didn't see a truck pull up. And then they started listening to me, and I'm like, and furthermore, and I just fucking just went off. And one of my friends was so angry. He's like, "You're over there giving fucking truckers advice. You're not a fucking trucker. How do you even know some of that shit?" And I'm like, "I read a magazine." Oh man, Jesus. That was funny. His anger was so strong. Then there was another thing, like long before this happened, I was noticing the problems with shipping containers coming in and out of the United States ports, and as well as difficulties with labor at U.S. ports. And I'm not connected with that in any way. Like, I just started noticing, like, trends, and I was talking to some friends about it. I remember once getting so angry about it, and they're like, "You don't even know what you're talking about." And then one of my friends actually remembered it. Should I stay behind this person that's barely driving? Might as well. I'm not in a hurry. Everything I predicted about it came to be. There was a pretty much an international lack of shipping containers, and the port of Portland ended up, most of the major ports of Portland ended up closing, and most international shipping traffic started going to California, I believe. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go around this person there. I know I'm not in a hurry, but they're not driving in a safe manner. Sometimes you're going too slow, which would be the kind of advice I would give. So I was thinking about, like, making it an advice book, and not just my advice, because obviously, like, my ideas of, like, especially things that don't relate to me at all, they're things I picked up by reading articles or seeing what other people felt about something. Like, I think an advice book would be kind of fun. The thing is, like, I had this other idea too. how to be a good person. And every time I mention this, people push back. No one said, hey, that's a relatively good idea. It'd be kind of difficult. They all say like, no, because the idea of good is very based upon who you are, where you grew up, what country you're in, what religion you were raised in. Like you might say, like it's wrong to steal, but there's there's all these different ways of reasons why it would be okay to steal, or how other people justify it, or some people want to be a good thief. Not everyone thinks of it. What is good is actually the good thing. Like being bad actually might be something that people want. I've got to do something about that rearview mirror. Tell you what. It's got ice on it. But anyway, I think these things about good, like you could be pretty specific. I mean, pretty specific about something. Like it's good to hold the door open for somebody. It's like the vast majority of people are barely going to register it, and same amount will not acknowledge it. But does that remove the goodness of it? It's like one of those things of like these subtle kindnesses that barely register actually might be really effective. Like it might be like that. That might be like that one little crack that forms in their day of like whatever kind of like the reason why they're kind of like zoned out is like they feel overwhelmed by life and all these little things, and like there's that one moment where like someone held the door open for them and they didn't say thank you and they didn't acknowledge it in any way because they're like deep in their own head. And it might be, might be that they're just fucking just not, with it, or it might just be, like life is overwhelming. Like who doesn't acknowledge that? And how often do you feel that? And then you walk up to a door and someone says, "Let me get the door for you." I think that saying that when you do it, I think saying that is important as well. I would add that to the advice. I've found that like, as you approach a door and someone else is approaching the door, there's this kind of sense of impending awkwardness. They're like, God, am I going to get to the door? Should I speed up so I get to the door first? I want to get in there and get in line and get out. And then as someone looks over at you and says, hey, let me get the door for you, it's all solved. Like the reason why I sped up was not so I could get in ahead of them. It's not a competition. I sped up so I could grab the door and open it, so they didn't have to speed up or slow down or even open the door. They go straight in. And how often I tend to, because I say that, often they thank me before they even get to the door. And I've noticed that the people that don't thank me must think about it as we go in, because as we then head to the counter, they say, oh, you go first. I'm like, thank you, I appreciate that. So even if you're reading this advice, like say I write an advice book, and you're like, oh, this is completely wrong, it would still be good, right? Like you wouldn't want to read it and like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, well, that's pretty self-explanatory, or like that's pretty basic, or oh yeah, I do that. I think everyone does that. And if like you get some advice, you're like, no. I think that would be equally enjoyable. You know what I think would be a popular book? Would be 101 Reasons You Suck. It'd probably be a bonus in the back of 30 extra reasons why you suck. But basically, it's the anti-advice. All these things of like, I saw someone about their parents helped them open up a bank account when they were a teenager, and now they're like mid to late 20s or whatever, and they go check their bank account and like 10 grand's gone, and asked his mom, like, hey, did you take 10 grand out of my bank account? She's like, oh yeah, I needed it. She was like, there was no like, oh fuck yeah, you're right, I should have told you about that. She didn't even say anything, because in her mind she's like, yoink. And so like I had like my idea of advice for that kind of thing, which was essentially like, you're gonna have to let this go. You're gonna have to let it go. Like it's like all the money. So like they mentioned like spending like $1,000 on their parents for, you know, their anniversary or whatever, and this, that, and the other thing, and loaning them money and they never pay it back, and all these different things. I'm like, all right, so like if you don't do stuff like that again for the next 20 years, can I make it all the way over? I can. If you don't do stuff like that for your parents for the next 20 years, you got your 10 grand back. You know what, and maybe a little bit more. You're ahead of the game. You just made money on this deal. So I felt bad though. They were so bewildered. Like in their mind, you know, like right and wrong, you know, in their mind, a parent doesn't steal from their child. Parents do steal from their children. That would be one of the things in the 101 Reasons Why You Suck book. That's where you would learn that. You're like, oh no, parents don't steal from children. Maybe I'd have to put references in it in the back as well, like list like 30 articles. For every reason you suck, I'd have to list like 30 references to someone doing that exact thing to their kids or whatever. Just think about Brittany, bitch. Her father, they don't even know how much he might have stolen from her. They think it's in the millions, but they don't even know how much he's taken from her. It wasn't, he wasn't spending millions of dollars on protecting her, I'll tell you what. Poor old thing. I find, here's my advice for taking a moderately long drive. Get behind somebody that's driving reasonably. Hang back about like 4 or 5 car lengths and just follow them. Like I still like pay attention and everything like that, but I find oh no, now he moved. I find just you lock in on somebody, you get a good pace going, and it does. I guess like I still am paying attention, but I think a part of me is if I keep that guy in my view, and I can still kind of look around at that beautiful 2-story house, look at all this new construction. They're really on the edge of the city, but like they still got that country feel. They're like, and then if you want to head out in the country, kabam, you're right out here real fast. You think about stuff like that as you're driving at 60 miles an hour, talking to your camera. Ooh. I've been getting, I think I mentioned this as well, I've been getting light sensitivity. Now I even notice it when I go in a building and they have like those bright LED lights or whatever that they are. They're those little brighter than normal lights. And I've been having to wear a baseball cap inside. Not like I could make it, like it's not gonna be bad. But I can feel myself squinting despite the fact that I'm wearing sunglasses if the light's coming down straight above me. Alright, here you go. That was my ideas about stuff.